Well, guess what's trending on Pinterest and Instagram right now? Vision boards. It is the most 2025 way to set some New Year's resolutions. So today we're going to make a vision board for the province. We have 5 people who are going to collage what they want to see happen in Saskatchewan in 2025. And we want you to participate as well. You could collage or you could just phone us and tell us what you'd put on your vision board. And if this is something that you already do, we'd love to hear about your process and what you got from it. 1-800-716-2221. You can also email bluesky@cbc.ca. Our guests today have already been pouring through magazines. I even see some people cutting. I want to start with introducing you to these wonderful folks that have agreed to do something I don't think we've ever done on the radio before. Next to me in Saskatoon here is Candace Savage, who's a writer. She's a native prairie activist. She's someone who likes to get dirt under her fingernails and bring people together to admire the beauty that Saskatchewan has to offer. Hello, Candace.
Hello, Leisha.
Good to have you. And then across from me here is Sean Moen, who's co-owner of 9 Mile Brewery. Before opening 9 Mile, he practiced as a lawyer. He serves on a number of boards, and I think it's fair to say that his approach to business helps strengthen communities. Sean, welcome.
Good afternoon, Alicia.
It's so good to have you. And then down in our Regina studio, where we have a full house for this vision board party, we've got Chris Alvarez, fresh from Neverland, where she was performing as part of Globe Theatre's Peter Mann. She's a Treaty 4 Filipina theater artist who loves making art while making relationships. And I just have to share this line from her bio because it's so good. Quote, Chris enjoys a well-made metaphor, a big laugh, and a good cry, like an 80s mom in a flowered kerchief, taming unbrushed hair, heading to a beach in a 2-toned station wagon, blaring her favorite mixtape. Chris invites friends along the way to join her. I want to come, Chris. That sounds like a good time. Hi.
Hi.
So good to have you here. Welcome to the show. And then some of the people who have joined her along the way include our other Regina guests. So both have been part of Chris's Burnt Sienna Boulevard production through Curtain Raiser Theatre. Ty Rain is an artist from Pepikasis Cree Nation in Treaty 4. They now live in Regina. Ty, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
So good to have you here. And then Sabine Manera is an 11-year-old grade 6 student in Regina. Hi, Sabine. Oh my goodness. Hello.
Hello.
It's so nice to see you. You were already pasting some items on your vision board, weren't you?
Yeah.
Getting a head start. I love it. I love it. Okay, and then we have someone else who's going to help us guide us through the whole process. But I just want to hear a bit from each of you. There's a lot of you. But Candace, I know the reasons why we chose many of you to be part of today's show. I know that you all are thoughtful people, you're creative people, you care a lot about community, but I thought maybe you could put in your own words sort of how you approach living in this community and how you approach that so intentionally, because that's what we're going to extend to the province here, how to live intentionally to manifest the things we want. So how do you see yourself doing that on a regular basis?
Well, I try to be aware of my community of people, for sure, my family, my friends, all the people who come together to work as advocates for nature, all the people who come together to play fiddle music in the fiddle orchestra, all the wonderful community groups that I get to be part of. But my community also extends to the plants, the animals, the birds, the little nuthatches and chickadees that are out there at -40, all those relatives. That's how I think about community.
Mm-hmm. Sean, what about you? Tell us about your approach to business and how that connects to the wider community.
I think, Leisha, I've always been surrounded by excellent people. I think if you're in a room and you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. It's a really real problem. Fortunately, I've had the opportunity to work internally or externally with people that are exceptional. And I think the guiding principle for me with business is what we try to teach our kids. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth. And so listen intensely and listen to each other and try to figure out what we can collectively do together. And you often find then the sum of that, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, it equals a lot more than 2.
Mm-hmm. So good to have you here, Sean. And then in Regina, Chris, I want to know more about you and some of those guiding principles that you carry with you as you make art and you build community.
Well, thanks for the big question to enter in. Like, it's a nice wide door is what I mean, not too looming, Leisha. You know, hearing the other vision boarding colleagues right now, it just inspired me to think about, community. I mean, when I think about community, often I guess I'm thinking about a place where people need me and I need them. And that's an important part to me because it's being like reminded, like I'm needed, and so is that other person. That person's needed, and we all come in with some type of expertise into the room to help make this life that much easier. Because I don't know, daily life and self-care is partly boring and partly tiring.
Yeah.
And paying bills and taking care of all the things is only one aspect. And so community has this special spot in my heart where, the dreams I have, someone else in a community sees them and uplifts them, like my colleagues at Curtain Raisers or at Globe Theatre. Or I look into community in my neighborhood and see some older women whose stories are really important, stories from their Indigenous backgrounds or their immigrant backgrounds. And so that's where I get inspired to make stories and bring it to a public setting and a gathering. I just came out of Neverland, Peter Pan, and the heart of a child is a big part of what's in my mind right now, just the heart of a child. There are so many children who are still suffering everywhere, including here. And I just feel like we really still aren't doing our young ones a service of like listening, like what was just mentioned, listening to them or lifting them up and letting them see beauty and kindness more. And seeing them for what they really are, which is like another human being who's got other ideas to bring to the community, needs us and we need them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to really feel that today because you're all going to be drawn to different things. And I'm excited to see what you all come up with. Ty, you've been listening to all of this. I'm wondering, why does community matter to you?
Well, without community, us as humans really don't have anything, whether that's your family or your workplace or your friends. It's super important. Like you said, feeling needed and needing others is a super important thing that we need. And just offering that compassion towards people within our community is something that I feel has been lost within recent times, but just reminding each other and ourselves that we are all human beings and we all deserve to come from a place of love, respect, and compassion. And so that's kind of what community means to me.
Nicely put, Ty. And then next to you is Sabine. What are some of the best things about your community, Sabine, when you look around your neighborhood, your city, your province? What makes it a great place to be?
I mostly just love seeing people together, like whether it's with their family or with their friends. I just like to see people having fun together. It's like a really important thing in life, like kindness, generosity, and most importantly, love. Those all seem very important to me, and I love seeing other people experiencing it with their friends and family.
Okay, let's manifest those things, folks. So you've got these magazines in front of you, and you are not alone to try and figure out how to create a vision board. We've got some guidance here. We're going to turn to Andrew Barclay, who lives in Saskatoon. He's a life coach who helps so many people forge a new path in their lives. He does that by helping people visualize what it is they really want. You know, you put it on paper, and that's your vision for the year ahead. And like I said, today we're expanding those intentions to the province as a whole. So, Andrew, I'd like to welcome you to the party. Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's such a delight to be here and to be with all of you.
Okay, well, our vision board guests are going to pay close attention to you, Andrew. I guess, first off, what is a vision board? How would you define it?
In my world of defining a vision board, it's something that's very specific and unique to every single individual. So my vision board is going to look very different from your vision board, and it's going to mean two very different things. And the purpose of it is that it has pictures and hopefully words that really resonate with you, that pull you into your own life, so to speak. Because when it's fun to do something like this right now at the beginning of the year and have the fresh inspiration, and even maybe it just feels easy or natural. It's the times when your back's up against the wall or you're feeling tired. The purpose of it too is that it tethers you to something that's much bigger than potentially circumstances or things that might be pulling you off the course of what's correct for you to be doing in your life, and remind you to, right, it's a piece of my architecture that can remind me who I am, what I'm here to do, and what I'm committed to creating.
Okay. Do you think Saskatchewan people were feeling pretty tired at the end of 2024? Sean, Candace, is it time to flip a page and forge a new path? Yeah. Quite possibly, hey?
Fortunately, it's been a slow start to the year, Alicia.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Considering the show we did yesterday and moving on to today, there's a lot to take in and a lot to be thinking about as we move through the year. So, Andrew, do they work? Do these vision boards work? Because not everybody's into this, right?
Yeah, well, the fun thing to know about all human beings is that we're all manifesting and creating things based on what we see in our life. And whether it's the things we're telling ourselves in our minds, whether it's the pictures we see of ourselves, all of that is creating our life. So this is just one tool, I would say, that can help people, like I said, remember more of what's real and true about who you are than, let's say, the circumstances of the world or all of anything else. So I do absolutely believe that it works.
I'm going to ask you a little bit more about your own path, Andrew, and how you got into this, but do you want to just set a few ground rules for folks as they start cutting? I mean, I think they're just following their own intuition and gravitating towards what grabs them, but maybe just set things up for them before they get too far ahead on the project.
Yes, I will absolutely help with that. So some first things, don't overthink this. Your mind might get in the way and be like, is this a thing? Is this a thing? Pay less attention to that and pay more attention to what catches your eye. You might have a strong body sensation to something that you're like, I don't know why, but it's compelling me to cut this out, or I want this. Do that. For anybody that's looking to have more confidence and trust in 2025, let this be a practice of starting to trust the part of you that knows. So it can be just very simple through this exercise.
And you've always really focused on the individual, right? And we do have individuals here who will gravitate towards what speaks to them. But have you ever done something like a larger project where we aren't just thinking of ourselves in this moment, that we are, I guess, in many ways thinking of the greater good?
Right. Well, I know you set that precedence for this, and I'm still going to come back to it's really up to the individual, because every single one of us that's participating in this, everybody that's listening or watching and participating, every single one of you makes an impact to the whole, to the community, to the bigger picture. And so all of us, really, whether we want to admit it or not, it's just important to understand that, well, we belong in this community. We live in Saskatchewan. We are a part of this community, even if it's temporary or we call this place home. We're here, so we're a part of that. And when we can understand that, that also can let us relax into where we are in our lives. And then that can also then let us get more clear on, well, what are the things that matter to me in life? What do I want to focus on? And from that, actually, in who I am in the big picture, allows me to then show up as me in the big picture, and me as the individual. You might be the person that makes a difference, and it might be in your family. It might be in the community. It might be at the company that you work at. But when you know who you are in that gives you so much personal power that the whole might not have quite the same effect then that it has on you, because you know who you are in the face of that. And that's really where leadership is. And then people might look to you and say, how are you different? How are you different, Leisha? Because you seem to understand more of who you are with the things that make you happy, and you focused on that. And then they might want to learn from you. They might want to ask you what you do.
I love that. I want to remind people that you are invited to participate today. Give us a call and tell us what you'd put on a Saskatchewan vision board, a vision board for 2025, 1-800-716-2221. You can also email bluesky@cbc.ca. We got an email from Keith who writes, I'd like to see less lawn, more trees, flowers, pollinators, and birds. So again, give us, I knew Candace would support that one. 1-800-716-2221. You can also email bluesky@cbc.ca. Andrew, I'll come back to you. I just want to check in with our creators. So, Sean, just curious what kind of is popping out to you right now. And I know you had some thoughts percolating before you even came in here. So give us a sense of kind of where your head's at right now.
Well, I find myself, Leisha, and it might be because it's during the lunch hour, quite admittedly, but cutting out pictures of really fresh food. And so the one picture I've got is a beautiful steak and some avocado and some gorgeous cheese and a bagel. But I
came hungry.
Well, yeah, it's 12:25. Yeah. But I think when I think about what's important to our community and what's important to our province, we have an incredible bounty of agricultural product. We haven't always been great at leveling that product up and creating sustainable supply chains internally. We export a lot of product, which we should.
Yeah.
But I don't. I think it's been a challenging a couple of years for families in buying food. Something as simple as that. And the intention that I'm finding that I want to manifest is just great, excellent food that's available to everybody. And that's where my head went.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Candace, what are you drawn to right now? Where's your head at?
Well, food for all. If we, again, expand the borders of our community to include all the creatures around us, the plants, the birds, the animals. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about how we live in time in this place and how we make the future better than the past. So I found a little headline here. I don't know. This is such a great magazine. Landscape is the memory. That says a lot about Saskatchewan, if you ask me.
That's profound. Chris, what kind of cutouts do you have in front of you right now?
Well, I got pretty excited. I found this beautiful calendar, and there was this gorgeous gathering in an Indigenous artwork of women of all different ages. And so I've got that, and I've got some kids playing a game, and I've got elephants.
Elephants?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't expecting that to be on a vision board for Saskatchewan, but I'll take it.
Well, I like how, to me, that represents my family and how, the pack and the herd or how you take care. The women, I guess, as I'm getting older, I'm just thinking about other voices, other people's voices who aren't often heard, whether that's older, whether that's other. With the kids, they're playing a game, and I'm a big fan of serious play. I think more adults should do it because it actually brings you a lot of vitality and wellness, but it also connects you to people you might not have met before when you get into being more playful. And I have the moon, a cycle of the moon that's on here, and words that say connections that keep us healthy that popped right out quickly in a magazine when I opened it. That was quite nice.
That's a good one.
And in the center of it, I'm almost done. I
fast worker.
Well, I used tape. Hope that was okay.
I brought tape too. It's okay. Yeah.
I also have an electric guitar, really cool 80s electric guitar in the sky hovering over the great, beautiful women who are gathering, because I just want to hear more good music, beautiful music that, when art, I don't know, for me, when art uplifts me to almost a spiritual moment. That happened when I was in the stadium watching Leonard Cohen, for example, in Regina, or when I see a gorgeous visual art piece like one from Christy Belcourt when it was at the Mackenzie, or Ruth Cuthand's work. I'm wishing for more people to experience what I get to, and I feel so privileged to see so much art.
Yeah.
And I think people forget how important art is. And we kind of talk about it in society in a condescending way. It's really great, just like play. It's really great. But I don't think we see how integral it is to our wellness as a society, a community. That's how I feel. And in the middle of all of this, I've put this lantern with light, and there's butterflies around it because, like the moon, I'm a big fan as well of impermanence. It's the one thing that keeps me sane. When things are hard, I'm like, this won't last. This will change again. This will have a metamorphosis. And so I'm wishing that for Saskatchewan, that feels like it is stuck in some things. And I do see that globally, stuck in this way of a binary way of us versus them. No one has enough. Everyone can't have what I have. And a lot of vitriol and hate that I just really despise seeing right now in the last little while. So when I get down, I really try to look to the light. And that's why the lantern's in the middle. And sorry, I took over there because I got really excited about my vision board.
That's what we hoped for. I'm glad you're excited. You're listening to Chris Alvarez. She's in our Regina studio, and we'll check in with Ty and Sabine, who are next to Chris. We'll find out what's on their vision boards. And then with me here in our Saskatoon studio, we've got Candace Savage and Sean Moe, and it's a busy place. Like, there's paper everywhere, cutouts. You can hear the scissors. It's fantastic. So more of this coming up today on Blue Sky. Don't forget, you can join the conversation and tell us what you'd put on your vision board for the province. 1-800-716-2221. You can also email bluesky@cbc.ca. Let's just take a second to check in with the CBC's David Shield. What's making news today, David?
Well, Premier Scott Moe is calling for an immediate federal election. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has suspended Parliament until March and has announced his intentions to step down once a new Liberal leader is chosen. Premier Moe says proroguing Parliament doesn't give Canadians the choice they deserve. A high-profile impaired driving case is headed to appeal. Taylor Kennedy's trial was stayed after the judge decided it had gone on too long. Kennedy hit and killed a 9-year-old while she was crossing the street in Saskatoon and told police at the scene she had consumed cannabis and magic mushrooms the day before. And ski hills across the province are doing well this year. Mission Ridge Winter Park says conditions were phenomenal over the holidays. He says lots of snow means the ski hill was packed. And I'll have a full newscast for you coming up at 1 o'clock.
David, thank you. I did bring in a mountain magazine, which is not a very Saskatchewan thing, but we do ski here, as you said. And I want to manifest, I want Blackstrap to reopen. I didn't live in this province when that was a ski hill, but if I could manifest one thing, I'd want someone to come in, invest in that, and I will pay money to go skiing there. Okay?
Sure.
Sure. Why not?
Why not?
What would you have on your vision board for Saskatchewan, David?
Oh, boy. I was thinking, I was madly thinking of something to say on this. I think I'd just like to have calm, but I really don't think that is in the cards as far as news is concerned. This year, I think it's going to be pretty bananas, but hey, what do I know? Maybe it will be.
I think it will be pretty bananas, and I'm sure we could find you a banana cutout to add to someone's collage. So there we go. David, thank you.
You're welcome.
That is the CBC's David Shield. I'm Leisha Grabinski. You are listening to Blue Sky. I want to head back to our Regina studio to check in with Ty Rain, an artist from Pepecasis Cree Nation in Treaty 4. They now live in Regina. Ty, tell me about the cutouts that surround you right now.
Some of the cutouts that I have, I think I actually have a banana on my. I have a collage of fruits on here because I'd like, I don't know. For me, fruit kind of represents like bounty, health. So I'd like for Saskatchewan and my community to be bountiful with food and their health. And then I also have a photo of some monarch butterflies. It's like blue and orange and black and green, and it's just a gorgeous little collage of butterflies because I would like to, me personally, grow out of my cocoon and just experience more within my life. I feel like a lot of people, since we're still, feeling the impacts of quarantine and the divides that created within our communities. Yeah. So I would really like to let my wings fly and try and explore different avenues of community within Regina. And Chris was talking about play. I have it says, we need play, seriously, because as I'm 25, I've just been growing into adulthood recently, and I find a lot of adults take themselves way too seriously.
Oh, yeah, heck yeah.
Me too, sometimes. But I think we need to remind ourselves that not everything as serious as it has to be. It's okay to laugh, to joke. Another cutout that I have is a group of people dancing, because I feel like we need to get together and dance because creativity is, to me personally, like close to spirituality. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people forget that everyone in our world is creative. Mm-hmm. Like everyone listening to this, this radio show is creative. It's just something that's innately we're born with. But as we grow into adults, we take ourselves way too seriously and we forget to make mistakes or to be a little bit messy or even to apologize for your mistakes. That's something that me too, I have problems with, is apologizing sometimes. But yeah.
This is great, Ty. I so appreciate hearing, kind of getting into your head a bit. It's really fantastic. And Sabine, I'm going to check in with you in just a moment, but I have to say, Ty, as you're talking about play, getting together as a community to dance, it makes me think about summertime in Saskatoon and the salsa dancing and how that brings people together. You have me thinking about playgrounds around me, and then here I am all of a sudden being a serious adult thinking about like infrastructure and stuff. But I think this is resonating with some of our listeners because it prompted Jacob to pick up the phone and call from here in Saskatoon. And so Jacob, welcome to Blue Sky.
Yeah, good afternoon. Hi, Happy New Year to you and all your listeners.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. My idea, I guess, it's not really for 2025, but it's should be down the road, and the sooner the better. We need better public transportation, sort of bringing back the STC or something like it, and we need high-speed rail. Should be joining up with a link to Regina, and then from Regina to Swift Current and Medicine Hat and Calgary, and going up to Red Deer and Edmonton, and then back to Lloydminster and Battleford and Saskatoon.
I love that, Jacob. I think if you can just put that on a vision board and hand it to the Premier, maybe that will become a reality sooner rather than later. Love it. Love that thinking, Jacob.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it'd be expensive, but good for the environment, and I think good for the brain drain that Saskatchewan's been experiencing for years.
All right. I like how you think big, Jacob. Thanks for calling. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, it's Jacob in Saskatoon. And then Florence sent an email. Florence writes, when I think of community, I think of all the people who have been shoved to the margins of our community, Regina's unhoused people. We are not really a community if we allow people to suffer and die on our margins. So let's fix it. The province can do a lot. Make available all the vacant Sask housing units in the province, 534 of them in Regina, raise the rates of the two income assistance programs above the poverty line. People on Saskatchewan Income Support, or SIS, get $1,005 a month. People on Saskatchewan Assured Income for Disability, or SAID, get $1,382. No one can live on these amounts. What do you want on a vision board for Saskatchewan for 2025? Send an email like Florence did, bluesky@cbc.ca, or give us a call, 1-800-716-2221. I'm eager to check in with Sabine, who's just 11 years old, and then we'll go back to Andrew, who will help guide us, to continue to guide us through this province. But first, Sabine, what have you been drawn to? What's on your vision board so far?
Well, mostly I've been sort of working towards the idea of nature in the city. I have like a sort of futuristic building with like trees on the roofs and like sort of, I saw a floating building, but it got ripped.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool though.
I have a picture of like a family like sitting together on the grass, I think having a picnic and a few fruits. I have like a human in like a pea pod because that sort of represents like comfort in nature, because I feel like nature is a really important part of this for me, because in like Regina there's many green spaces and parks, but as pollution gets worse, I feel like we need more and more to help make sure that our community is thriving. I have a diamond, I don't know why, to represent the beauty in life. And then I have a few words. I have life, because life is important to our life. And we have a lot to learn, and we need to continue to grow. I also have like laugh and play.
Because seems to be a theme today. I like it.
Yeah, because like play is a very important world, especially as a kid, because when you grow into like more an adult, you don't play as much. And I also have games because that actually sort of corresponds with laugh and play. Games sort of represents like from video games to like a game outside, like hide and seek or tag, all that can like help you be happy and stuff.
And we want happy people. Sabine, this is awesome. Thanks for sharing your vision board so far. I want to go back to Andrew Barclay a little bit because there was something that Chris said that kind of stood out to me about wanting to kind of drop a lot of the divisions, just, some of the tough stuff, right? And I think that's a prompt that you often give people because we are moving we are now in a new year, but perhaps we want to let go of some of the stuff that happened in 2024. Do you want to talk us through that?
Sure. Well, I love that you do bring that up, and I know everyone had started, and you folks listening along might be cutting and pasting away as you're following, but some of the times what's really important to do is actually to clear and release the things that have been. And since we are in a new calendar, like you can do this today, you could do this tomorrow. Just look at what were the challenging things of 2024 and see what there is to release from that. And it might be, it could be a specific situation. It could be like, well, I want to release fear. But, I love that Ty actually talked about she wants to spread her wings in 2025. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, Ty, but I'm like, well, there could be something about, releasing from 2024 is something specific. And it's, the fear. I'm just using this as an example, and this probably isn't going to be Ty's, but it could be, the fear of being hurt or that it's scary to open my wings to fly. It could be that's actually what I'm releasing from 2024 so that there's a lightness to like literally then being able to fly and to spread her wings and be exactly who she needs to be in the places that she's going to go. Because wow, I too, so for the people that can't see this, I made my own tiny little vision board here. And actually I have a cornucopia, which was the representation of the harvest. I don't know if you can see it there.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to put this show on YouTube later so people will be able to look.
Yeah, Ty was talking about collecting fruit and having that abundance in that basket. So even for me, that was something that was important too. And for me personally, something that I also had to release from 2024 was just actually having a bad relationship with money.
Yeah. I think a lot of people at home are like, yeah.
Yeah. So, something that I wanted to release then is also the guilt about what my financial situation is like or the shame that comes with it. So that writing it down or just doing something even ceremonial about it. I've had some people that write a letter and then burn it as it's very fitting for them to do, but just whatever you've got to do to release those things so they can be left in the past and that this really can be the opportunity to have something new for you here. Because I was like, I want a good relationship with money and I want to clear that old thing though, so it's not the thing that I actually start to be creating more of because I haven't put some attention or language to that to actually see that how it's showing up and taking over part of my life.
I want to go around the table again. I know just for me, like hearing you talk, Andrew, I think, well, I want prosperity for the province. I don't know how many more radio shows I can do about polarization, right? Like, you want to create dialogue, but if the emphasis is always on division, that's like, it's getting a bit hard. So, Sean, I'm so curious to know what's running through your mind when you think about things you want to leave behind for Saskatchewan from 2024, and then again, thinking ahead to 2025.
So when I take a look at my board, Leisha, I don't know if we're
very well done.
Oh, thank you. This has probably been 30 years since I've done something like this. It was actually interesting therapy, I think.
You hogged the glue.
Oh no! I did. I when I look at my board, it's probably a lot of fodder for psychotherapy in a way. Like I see food. There's a map of changing soil fertility. I've got a boat, a large ship in rough waters. I've got some Jedi.
Okay, wait, let's stop there with we should talk about all of them, but the rough ship, or the ship in rough water, what are you getting at there?
Well, I think the Jedi and the ship are similar in a sense. I think there's a lot, it's really hard not to feel the burden of current macro issues or geopolitical issues or societal conversations. And I think a great saying that I love is calm seas do not a sailor make. And so making sure that you maintain a sense of composure as you navigate these rough seas that you can't control, and not unduly focusing on them. You know, I think the Jedi represent for me this ability to treat emotion with its due attention, but not let it overwhelm you, and try to make good decisions.
And I'm curious if you don't mind sharing, like, what those sort of macro things that are affecting you right now. Like, I know we were both looking at a Trump tweet before we came in here, but just from your perspective, like, what are those rough seas right now that you're trying to, maintain some composure and navigate through?
Well, we're pretty active in the business community. I think about our country's place in the world. I think about the economic growth of our city, how it needs to be sustainable, how it needs to be locally grounded, how we need to be investing in innovation. And I have concerns around all of those things as we go. And I think I would really like to get us to continue to get to a point as a province where we're resilient economically, and that we have a high standard of living, and it remains a great place to raise your kids. So all of these things, manifest, I think, in some big, heavy thoughts where you need to take a breath for a moment and focus on what you can control.
Right.
And that's the challenge. So I've also got little, pictures of my kids.
Oh, yeah. Some little ones there.
Which, are really the guiding light, I find, for me when I'm trying to think about these big problems.
Yeah, me too. Me too. 100%. Candace, I'll come to you in a second, but we do have someone on the line. Maria in Swift Current wants to join the conversation today and talk about what she would place on a vision board for Saskatchewan. Hey, Maria.
Hey, so I think what I'd like to offer for the vision board for Saskatchewan is for the emancipation of the human spirit and to the ends of industry, the end of global trade, the end of factories, offices, machines, and most importantly, the end of money.
End of money, Maria, that's a bold statement.
Yeah. And life turns into one big group camping trip. And I think I'd like to put that on the vision board for Saskatchewan.
I like that,
Maria.
We'll take it. Maria, thanks for calling.
Thanks.
Bye. That's Maria in Swift Current. Candace, what do you have in front of you? Do you want to elaborate on what you've got there?
Well, absolutely. It's very jolly, I have to say. You've found me some really wonderful sources here, so this is full of color and life. I have one unplayful thing that I would like to manifest for Saskatchewan, and that is a wetland conservation policy. So on my board is a really beautiful graphic of a wetland, one of our sloughs, all showing some of the kinds of life that they support. And this is the only province in the country that doesn't have a wetland conservation policy. There's a lot to be said about that, but anyway, so that's one of the things.
I am curious, though, like what kind of work it would take to have a conservation policy for wetlands. I'm assuming an enormous amount of work, but what would it take to get that?
I don't see why it would take very much work at all. We would have as a community to decide that we want not only to be economically sustainable, which of course we do, we all appreciate so much the quality of life we have here and want it for everyone, but we also want to have an ecologically, environmentally sustainable. We want to be sustaining the land that we're relying on, and these wetlands are important. So we have a drainage policy now, but we don't have a wetland policy.
See, I knew that bringing different people together, things would come up that I hadn't really thought about. So, Candace, thank you for that. Is there anything else you want to share?
Yes, there is.
Please.
There's a lot of flowers on my board here, and just like one of the other participants, I want to see more nature in cities. We know that we don't have good policies for protecting our remaining grasslands. And so it's really important, those of us who have a small piece of land in, a lot or a balcony or
A boulevard.
A boulevard, yes, that we provide places for the plants that belong here, the medicines that live here naturally, and that bring so much beauty. And one of the things that's so wonderful about that kind of vision and work is that it's fun. Mm-hmm. There is play involved in that and rewards that you don't have to really work at. Maybe you're getting a bit of fresh air and exercise, but the plants and the insects and the birds that come, they do the work and they bring the beauty. So one of the little bits of wording on my vision board is Caterpillar Playground. I like that a lot.
Anything from 2024 that you want to leave behind, Candace?
Well, building community is so important, isn't it? And finding places where we can create some agreement. I had the privilege of going to the writing festival, the Festival of Words in Moose Jaw in the summer. And that seemed to be a place where obviously people self-select to come there, but it was a forum where people could exchange ideas. And I would love to see those kinds of places expanded and supported, places where we can come together to find some more common ground and more respect for one another's positions and needs.
Chris, in Regina, down in Regina there, I want to see if I can get a visual of the three of you working away. But is there anything else from 2024, Chris, that you want to leave behind? Or would you rather talk about what you want to manifest in 2025? You just showed me your finished product. It looks fantastic.
Here it is, teacher.
Yeah. I give that an A+.
I'm just so inspired by what Candace just shared. I just wanted to kind of echo or come from that about, I'm so lucky to be in a lot of creative spaces where people are ready and willing for change and change in not a huge way, but just shifts so that more people are in the room, more access is given to the room, more freedom and peacefulness. And then I go home and then I see the world and see as I brought up earlier, the big divisions of us and them. And I can't not think about gatherings, and that's what I'm just hearing from coming together when I hear those words. Gatherings are so important, and I feel like during the pandemic, a lot of us went into our own houses, and a lot of us didn't come out. A lot of us really didn't come out, and I hear it from people in the rural communities where fowl suppers are being canceled, where there's less interaction at a community center, where even a coffee shop is not as busy. And to me, that's really tragic because we are forgetting how important human connection and touch and gathering. And also because if I met up with someone in a political party that I don't agree with, for example, at a coffee shop, and we had a conversation, just a respectful conversation, even if we disagreed on many important issues, I would at least know the humanness of that person. Mm-hmm. And so I wouldn't go onto Facebook later and talk trash about them because I've met the human of that person, even if I don't like what they're saying and don't agree. And so one of the words on my vision board is guts. I really resisted putting it because it's an ugly word, guts. But I was like, Chris, yeah, that's what you want. You want to have the guts to continue, whether I'm in a room privileged to hold the conversation and facilitate it, or whether I'm in a room where I get to offer a metaphor of a play that hits some pretty important truths about community or what we're not doing to help people. The guts. I wish that for all of us in Saskatchewan to have the guts. And I also have added this last thing, which is a little sapling tree with roots. And it's about that memory of roots. Excuse me. As an immigrant from the Philippines who grew up here, the roots are always so important to me. And I think if we all could take moments to look at, like, where are we coming from and where does this province come from?
Yeah.
And some of it's not great and some of it's great.
Yeah.
I don't know. The guts is what I'm bringing into it.
I like that, and that motivates me to continue doing Blue Sky programs to keep the dialogue going. Maybe we'll just call it something else to make it more open. We're almost out of time. This always happens to us. I just want to quickly check in with Ty and Sabine. Ty, any final words as you're wrapping up your vision board?
I would just like to. Well, here's my vision board here.
Oh, I love how you show it off, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But a word that I have, 2 words. I have here and now. I would like to, for me personally, just to be more mindful about where I am and the things I have, and being thankful for the health of myself and my family. And then also another thing that I have is the soul of the machine. That's something that I have specifically for Saskatchewan. Because just to remind everyone that Saskatchewan isn't a machine. We are the cogs. We have a lot of power as citizens, as voters, that we really forget. And that brings another word that I have is advocacy has one direction, forward. And that's to remind everyone to advocate for people in places that don't have the energy or the even privilege to speak out for themselves.
Oh, Ty, thank you for that. Sabine, we'll give you the last 30 seconds.
I have added the word hope because it kind of represents like the light in our world. Mostly I've added tiny little things like a pile of fruits and a little cluster of roses and carrots. Sort of as like a nature representative.
Yeah, and I just want to hold on to that word hope. I think that is kind of a lovely word to end on. So Sabine, Chris, Ty, Sean, Candace, you can keep working. We're not going to cut you off from vision boarding, but the radio show is going to have to end. And of course, we can't forget Andrew Barclay, who's been guiding us through it. And, I'm so glad you were with us today, Andrew, because I couldn't have done this on my own. So just a huge thanks for bringing some good energy and some guidance to this practice. So how did we do?
Welcome.
Did we do
Thank
okay?
you. And good job to everyone. Wow, all the things you put in the pot are phenomenal. And I want to say, the elephants that Chris put, they also represent strength and wisdom. So we could put guts, strength, and wisdom, because that absolutely is something that I want to contribute to the pot for this coming year, is strength and wisdom, because I know the superpowers behind that. So
this has been awesome. Andrew, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
That is Andrew Barclay, who's a coach, a life coach in Saskatoon, and guides a lot of individuals through this whole process. And then today we heard from Chris Alvarez, Ty Rain, Sabine Manera, Candace Savage, Sean Moen. They've all been creating vision boards for the communities that they want to live in, because we're trying to create a province that we're all proud to live in. So thanks to everyone who participated and those of you who called. It's great to hear from people on this topic. I'm Leisha Gerbinski. This is Blue Sky on CBC Radio 1, 94.1 FM in Saskatoon, 102.5 FM in Regina, 540 on the AM dial right across the province.